Hello, Natron Nation, and welcome back to another VFX with Natron. Oi, what a week last week was, eh? Oh, drove me crazy. I had so many problems. Anyhow, we're gonna start this week off a wee bit stronger. Alright, so today, what are we gonna do? Well, today, by May the 4th. And as everybody knows, that be Star Wars Day. And so Star Wars is going to be sort of the theme, but we're also going to try to answer a question, or at least answer some problems people ran into last week. During the week, these weren't asked in the questions. This was asked over the forum. Some people was talking about outlining and putting outlines on things, and I started talking about, using this thing called the Erode Blur node or Erode Smooth node. It's a soft erode. Anyway, with no further ado, today's going to be all about using that to recreate things, and we're going to do a lot, and there's a lot to pack into today. So, with no further ado, let's get started. The first thing we need to do is we're in Natron. I do want to bring up before we go any further that we should look at what we're going to be making. So the goal of today is going to be to make this. And this is a fairly long project. And I'm gonna cut it short as soon as we start seeing text fading off into the distance. Right about, yeah, right there is good. All right, so the first thing we need to know is we're going to need obviously a resource. We need to have ourselves a Star Wars font, and so the font that I'm using for the Star Wars font is this one right here. It's called Star Jedi, and you can get it off of this website here. It is a free download. I don't know if it's available. You can use it. I don't recommend using fonts that actually belong to movies in videos of your own, unless you're doing a homage or a tribute type thing. Then whatever. But just be careful you're not using it commercially. Anyway, back to this program. All right, now that we've established that, let's start off with the most important thing. We need to make our blue text. So we need to obviously add a text node. Whoops, I didn't hit tab. Text. We're going to create a text node, and we'll hook this up there, and we're going to turn off transform, and we're going to set the actually, no, we're not. We're going to set it to center interact for this one. I think. I just want to think about this. Yes. And we're going to put in something along with some text. We want to put in text that says, I'm just trying to think. Well, it doesn't matter. We'll just say, long ago in a place not too far, comma, and then it usually goes down to the next line, so we'll do a thing far away. All right, there we go, and then a few more things. All right, so there we go. Yes, we want to keep it center interact for this because we want the second line to be left justified with the line above. Obviously, this is not the right color, so let's adjust our color next. We're going to click on the color of the font. And this is nice and easy. If I'm not mistaken, it was just a hue of 192, a saturation of 192, and a value of 192. That gets us a nice blue, Star Warsy kind of colored font. All right, or at least for the opening. Obviously, it doesn't start with this up; it fades in. So we're going to need a constant, and we're going to need to merge with it. So we'll create a constant, and we're going to do a merge. And let's see, I'm just double checking. I want to make sure I build this the same way. I think what I did here is I set, let me just see, it doesn't matter. We're going to do a merge. We can put, actually, it does matter. We're going to put the constant because we want the constant to be, we want this project to be an HD, and there is going to be a bit of it. We're going to be making a few bits of it that are going to be much larger than HD. So we're going to be dictating, using our constant to dictate it, which means it needs to be on the B input. And that means our text goes into A, and that our text source should be the constant as well. And we'll double check that our project, we'll hit S to double check our project. Our project is 1920 by 1080. We're going to set the text to be, we're going to have the text be, using that, it's all set. We need to now, let's see, what we want to, okay, this is a still, we want to put an Erode, I mentioned that we're using the Erode Smooth. Now, part of the reason for this is to get away from what I call a digital look. Right now, if we look at this, if we go up and make this as big as possible, if we look at this looks very computer generated. It looks very modern, very, you know, whatever you see. It doesn't actually look like what you would see with film, or at least classic film, where they used to, the way they made stuff like this in the old days is they would expose the film in a dark room. They would shine lights through colored paper or colored cutouts in something, and that color, that light would be evenly lit and it would glow. But it created this interesting effect where at the center of the letters they tended to be brighter, because as they tried to minimize this, but it happened anyway. There was this brightness towards the center of the letters, and at the edges it got a little bit darker. So there was just this little bit of extra blackness around the edge, and it made a transition into the edge surrounding a little bit better. So first let's bring this down. So what we're going to do is mimic this. We're going to do this with an Erode Smooth. So we're going to do Erode Smooth. Okay, and we're going to be using this throughout multiple times. So, you know, but we will be changing things. And for this one, let's see, I want to get the settings right because we have so many things to do. This one was a size of 3 and an exponent are set to 1. And as you could see, let's see if we zoom in on this a bit. Let's take a look at what that did to the edge of this. It's going to look a little funny, okay? We're going to hit D to disable that. And if we look at it, we can see that when I enable it, it makes the edge look a wee bit softer around it. It's almost like it's anti-aliasing, but it's not really. It's getting a little darker. It's not much darker, just a little bit, to soften the edge of the font, to mimic the idea that there's light and we're getting a bit of obscuration or of I can't remember the name of the proper term for it. Occlusion. That's the term I was looking for. We get a little bit of occlusion on the side. All right. So there's our first node. We're not going to worry about the animation yet. We're going to build all the parts. So the next thing we need is we are going to, however, bring this down to 0 for the mix. Why are we not? That's odd. Why is... Oh, did I not? Oops, I undid the erode, not the merge. That's a problem with having 2 of these up at a time. We're going to make it so that we only have the one. There we go. So we have I mixed down the merge, and we have black. And so now we need to create stars. All right, so for stars, let's see. What we're going to use for our star base is this wonderful node built into Natron called SE Noise. Okay, and let's look at that SE Noise. And SE Noise looks like this by default. We're going to be turning this into stars. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to actually make it look not like stars first, because we're going to turn it over to this cell noise. This works surprisingly well for this once we're done. And then we're going to shrink the size of this down to 3. So it's really small. All right. Then what we're going to do is we want to put I believe a clamp node next. So we're going to do a tab clamp. And what clamp does is it clamps, it says that we have a minimum value and a maximum value. Anything outside, anything beyond these two levels, or above or below, gets eliminated altogether. Nothing above and below. Unfortunately, we haven't adjusted the lightness or anything above or beyond this level, so it should be fine. So we're going to just keep those, I believe, at the moment, to 1, although I might change it, or I'm just double checking. I'll take it back. We're going to be lowering the maximum in a moment, but what we're first going to do is we're going to maximize this. Actually, we'll see what's going to happen. I'll set this, and then it will make sense why we're going to enable the minimum and maximum, what we're going to remap them to in a second. All right. So the value I used here was 0.004, which is incredibly low. As we can see, there's nothing there. We see blackness. There's nothing there. But when we enable these clamp 2s, what it's going to do is it's going to take these two values and stretch them to fit, so that the lowest value, the minimum, is going to go to black, and the maximum is going to go to white. And when we do that, suddenly we get all these wee bitty little dots here. All right, these are going to be our stars. All right, and just so people can see, but they're awfully jagged and unsmooth. All right, we're gonna fix that in a moment. The first thing we need to do with this part is we need to obviously, this is white with little black dots. Well, we need to invert it. So let's invert, and the first thing we notice is as soon as we invert, everything, or almost everything, except for that one dot, went black. Well, that's no good. And the reason for that is, and this will break a lot of people put inverts in there and say, it's not working, everything just disappeared. It's actually because the alpha is enabled. We want to disable this alpha, and when we disable the alpha, well, all right, it doesn't look like it did anything, but trust me, the alpha is, or should have been, or this problem. Let me just make sure everything is broadcasting correct. Oh, yes, there's one other thing we need to do, which is we need to set did I make the constant? Aha. Okay, this constant, the first constant, we also want to make it an alpha value of 1, so that it's pure black, because we're also going to be mixing that in as a source for our SE noise, because SE noise doesn't normally, when it does its noise to the alpha channel, and if there's nothing and it alphas that over the background. So if there's nothing there, it sort of just disappears into nothingness. So by putting the SE noise over the merging it with the constant in the background that's set to 1, we eliminate that, and we wind up with, again, stars. Okay, so now we wind up with our speckles that we have. And just so you can see that the invert, all right, we're going to disable it. There we go. All right, we see the speckles. This is without the clamp. This is what it looked like. That's with the clamp on. And then this is with the invert. Okay, so this is what we've got. We've got something that looks star-fieldy. But our stars look really, really sharp, really, really jagged. So we're going to use this as a second point. We're going to use on Erode Smooth. So Erode. We could have duplicated the other one, but it's not a complicated node to set up. So we're going to just go here to set this up. And for this one, for our stars, I wanted this one to be, okay, this one's a weird one. We're going to set this to all right, first let's set the exponent. We're going to set the exponent, I believe this one will get set to 2. And then when we set this, we're going to set it to 1. And it doesn't look like much happened. And if we go to 2, everything almost disappears. So it's 2 is too high, 1 is too low. So what I set it to is 1.2. And when we get it to 1.2, now our stars are looking pretty good. And by the way, just so you know, in my original video, I had set this to, I think, a 0.2 for the value, and I realized when we got onto YouTube, or excuse me, onto the web, and I was viewing it on phone, it was a little low. And by just so you know, this clamp value, by just adjusting this here, let's zoom back a little bit. I want to make sure that it's really visible here, because we're at a fairly low resolution. I want those to be visible, but just so you can see that this clamp value, this maximum for the clamp value, if we just take that and scroll it up and down, if I lower it, you can see stars disappear. If I raise it, stars appear. And I want enough stars so that they appear on our thing. I want a nice dense amount. And I just want to make sure, oh wait, I think I actually upped the noise size as well. I want to make that one size bigger. By making the noise size bigger, it also makes the stars bigger. And now let's just take a look. And it doesn't look right here, but when we take it to full screen and set it to 1, there we go. We have nice visible stars. Those should be visible on any device. This is what our star field's going to look like. All right? It's a good looking star field. Or at least I think so. All right. Whoops. Why? Oh, right. All right. So now we need to merge our star field over this. So we're going to take our background, select our all merge node. We're going to hit merge again. Going to pipe that into the A, and that's going to be that. Now, eventually this is going to come in. Let's fit this. Eventually this is going to come in at the same time that our next part comes in. All right. So now comes the big point. Now we need to make a text that's going to come in. And so what I'm first going to do is let's put a text node down first. All right. So, text node. And when we go to the text node, if we look at the text node properties, there's no option to set its physical resolution. It's defaulting right now to 1920 by 1080 because that's our project resolution. Well, we want this to actually be bigger. The reason we want to do this is so we have room to do what's called super sampling. And we're going to... we'll get into that later. We're going to talk about one other thing. Well, super sampling. We're going to super sample this. So in order to super sample this, we need to make it bigger than at the start. So we're going to put another constant in here before it. So constant. We're going to use that as the source to the text node. And we're going to set the constant from extent to format. And we're going to change it to a format of UHD, which is 4K, okay, which makes our text look incredibly wrong on this, but that's okay. What we want to first do is reset our center point. Then we want to turn, let me make sure I'm doing this right. I want to, down here. Right, we want to be able to use Pango, okay? Because we're going to be I'm going to just give you some Pango code. When we do this, finish the comp, the problem is going to be that the Pango, or that we want the font to shift and move, and if we have auto size enabled, we cannot automatically adjust the text. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the center here, and we're going to tell it to word wrap. Now this could cause some problems. So the next problem we have is we don't have the font here, and we don't have a project saved. So I'm going to save this project as, and I'm going to go to let's see, episode 10, and we're just going to call this live underscore 001. And if you don't understand why I'm putting underscore 001 at the beginning of this, the reason for that is that when you do incremental saves, it always adds underscore 00 and a number or underscore in up to 3 digits every time it does an increment. So we're going to do that. And when we do this, then when we go over here, we click on our font, our custom font, where we can click on project if it isn't there by default, which brings us here. I happen to put the font inside of here, so we can pick it out. When I pick it, it doesn't change the font here. What we're going to do is we need to actually go into our font family. This is one of the things a lot of people don't realize about Natron. Once you've loaded the font, you actually have to go down and pick it out of your fonts. It will now appear in your font list, and here it is, Star Jedi. All right, so there's our font. Let's see, what size did I make it? All right. By the way, this might be a long one today. Where did I set it? I think. Oi, that's. I think I set it to. I think I set it to 150. Let's see. Now that looks too small. Maybe it was 3.5 full. Let me just double check my original project just to make sure. I want to make sure we get this right. 500. All right, that's what I set it to. 500. We're gonna go 500. All right, and then minimize that. All right. So there we go. There's our font. We're going to eliminate that. And all right, I'm going to save you. One of the problems that we're going to run into, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter in wars, because wars is the text that we're going to have the most problem with. So we'll notice that the A is touching the R, and we're going to be extruding around this to build up our outlines, because this is about building outlines and so forth, using something we could theoretically use an outline-based font or use font strokes inside of the text node, but some things don't always have that. So it's good to understand how this works, all right? And mind you, this does not work as well as an actual outline using actual fonts with outlines. And there's ways in the future that we might go into how to use that as an alternative to this, but that involves using other programs. So anyway, without going into too much, we're going to enable markup here, okay? And that might have shifted this around a little bit, but I'm going to copy some text. What I'm going to explain is that there's this thing in Pango called it's like HTML, and it uses this thing, this markup language called span, okay? And the spacing between letters is called letter spacing, all right? And letter spacing works on multiples of 1024, okay? So a multiple, what this is this was, I wanted to add to my a spacing of 10 times 1024, which obviously it's 1024 times 10, makes it 10,240, okay? And I n-span that to say that only is going to affect my A. And then I think I did 21 for the letter spacing for R, which is going to push that to the right a little bit. So the goal behind this was to add a wee bit of space between the A and the R. So when we click out of this, let's watch this A and the R, and there we go. And you can see that the S actually moved over a little bit as well. But okay, here's a tricky thing about this whole Pango stuff. This gets kind of wonky. It's wishy-washy. It will look wrong at some resolutions, and it will correct itself later on. It should, with these values, I've tested it out. You're going to want to test it out on your own. It should look better when you do it on your own. All right. Keeping it going. The reason we did this first is because this is the one we need to worry about the most. All right. So what we want to do is clone this. Okay. With it, and because I just don't want to, and we want to use as our source for the clone, we want to use the same thing. so that they're both UHD. We want to be able to see these together, so we're going to merge them. Doesn't matter which one goes into which. Currently, they both say the same thing, so they don't look any different. So we're going to change on our clone. We're going to unlink the text from the first one. I already have this pre-made. We're just going to, it's exact same. I use the exact same Pango settings, but with different letters for this part, so that they work basically in opposite of one another. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a transform in here, and we're going to actually put our the clone at the top, because that's where it says the first word, and the main text at the bottom. And then we're going to do a transform off of the clone, because I like thinking from top to bottom. And then we're going to clone that, so OK, and put that as the source for our second one. It's kind of weird thinking, but it will probably make sense once it's all done. All right, so what we're going to do here in this transform, by the way, we have audio, right? Do we have audio? Well, yes, we got audio. I see audio going out. Hopefully this is all good. All right. All right, so, our transforms. Let's go to our transforms. So the problem right now is that if I take my main transform and I up it, it moves up the other one. Oh, yes, we need to, first of all, we're going to actually set this to 2. So we can see the main one, or actually we want to click on a clone first and then the other one. All right, so this is going to be our source, and what we need to do is we need to unlink on our clone. See how everything's blacked out? We're going to unlink both of the transforms, because you can't just, when we're going to be soft linking these. All right, so we're going to set an expression here, and we're going to control drag the text 1 or the transform 1 translate X into there, and that gives us value 0. Okay, and so we see it there, and then we're going to go over here to this one, set an expression here, do the same for this. All right, and for right now, this is gonna just be for silliness. You're gonna see when we move the text up and down, the other one moves up and down. Well, the reason that we have that expression there, if we edit the expression for the Y, what I actually want to do is tell it that I want to take the value, because it's a positive value. I want to, and we're working from the center point because this is a transform that's centered. We're going to multiply it times -1, and times -1, and that will give us the opposite. And that way I can sit there, and now as I move my positive, or my first word, up in space, I can move my opposite one down in space, and we get our words separating automatically, and they're centered. Nice and easy. We like easy. That's why we did it that way. All right. Next, we're going to add, let's see, we did the merge, we did the oh yes, time to add them outlines. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an erode. All right. We're going to do an erode smooth. After this, we're selecting the merge node and adding an Erode Smooth. Bam. And I'm going to take the Erode Smooth, and I'm going to... Is that what I did? Or just want to make sure I did this right. Erode Smooth 1.5. Alright. According to this, I do an Erode Smooth of... lost my place. Erode Smooth 1.5 for the size and 1. All right, so we go 1. We're going to set it to 1.5, and oh wait a minute, that's the wrong thing. Oops, reset to defaults. Size, 1.5, and set this to 1, and it may not be noticeable yet. All right, why? Let me just make sure I've got this clone. All right, Erode. Oh yes, we also want to set this to Gaussian. That this will make. All right. We need to look at this normally. It's normally set to quadratic, and it's not going to show. All right. What we need to do is we need to merge this. All right. Actually, what we're going to do is clone this. We're going to clone it. We're going to set this to an import by on this, and then we're going to clone this with Alt. Let's fit this. What we're going to do is, all right, with outlines with fonts, okay? And most times you use outlines in most programs. When you add an outline and you increase the font, the line width, it adds it works from the center point of the font, the center point out edge. It goes out halfway in one direction and out halfway in the other. So we're trying to mimic that behavior with our Erode Smooth. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this. We're gonna use this as the halfway point, and we're gonna take one and use it, make it bigger, and take the other one and make it smaller by the exact same amount. And the way we're going to do this is we've set the first one up to Erode Smooth to 1.5. I'm going to then clone this, so OK to clone, which is throwing it off into the middle of nowhere, but which is annoying. We're going to connect that up to our source, okay? And on this one, we're going to break its size, unlink it. And then we're going to take our original one. We're going to control. We're not going to. Excuse me. We're going to first set an expression, all dimensions, because this is a multi-dimensional thing. All right. And we're going to take this and we're going to drag it in here. And you'll notice it says here dimension. Okay. What that dimension means is it's going to take the dimension that comes in, whether it's X or Y or 0 or 1, and it's going to do whatever. And we're going to just do the same thing we did last time. We're going to say times -1. All right. And that gives us a negative value. So this one works in positive. This one works in negative. This one's going to bring it out. This one's going to bring it in. And when we merge the two of those together, and then we subtract one from or minus one from the other, so we switch the merge node for this merged with the two combined to minus, I believe it is minus. All right, maybe it might be from. It's going to either be minus or from. Oh, it's not doing it. Why is it not doing it? All right, let's take a look-see at this and that. And something's gone haywire. Why is... Aha! I see why. Because our Erode Smooths here are not working on the alpha channels. We need to make sure that they have the alpha channels working. Once we do that, we should start eroding. It's not... I'm not seeing it move. There we go. From... No, oh, that's because this isn't minus. There we go. All right, there we go. We've created an outline, right? And this outline happens to be 1 pixel away from the original one. All right, it's 1.5 pixels away. I can make it bigger or I can make it smaller, but it's moving from the center point out, right? So we make it. Well, let's fit it. There's our outlines. All right. So let's see. We're gonna make that a size of. According to this, I left it at 1.5. So we're going to set that to 1.5. All right. So I'm not seeing it. That's looking wrong to me. But, you know, this is Natron. Natron sometimes doesn't do what you expect. We're going to keep it at 4.5 for right now because I'm not seeing it doing what we want. We might change this later. Again, we can adjust this. That's part of the point of this. What's our time? Oh, my goodness. We're really running out of time. So this is going to be very quick. All right, where are we? We are down to here. Clan of Right. Okay, I remember why we did this. I remember why it was 1.5 and not higher. is because we're actually going to be applying another thing to it right now. We're going to clamp it very much like we did earlier. This was to get, I'm trying to use the quadratic, it's hard to explain. We're going to, this quasi-Gaussian, we're going to be using that to, we're going to be clamping that with a clamp node. Clamp, very much to round out the edges just a smidge, all right? And the way we're going to do this is we're going to do the same thing we did before with the clamp node, except for this time for the maximum, what we're going to do is set this one to 0.0003. And there we go. We got a much better response. And what that did here is that rounded off the edges just a smidge around this point. Because if we didn't do that, if we didn't use quasi-Gaussian, all right, let's look at what this does. Around spots like this R here, you can see it just gets flat here when it pulls it in. And we want to get rid of that as much as possible because we don't want it to look like that. All right, so we're going to just switch it from quadratic to quasi-Gaussian, and you'll notice that it rounds it a bit more, so it looks a little more flowy and natural. And that's the main reason we do this. This is a flaw with using this for very, very pointy things. It's unfortunate, but there are difficult ways around this. But this is a shortcut for what we're doing. I'm telling you, this isn't perfect, but it works most of the time for most things. Anyhow, so that gives us our final comp wars. All right, so then what we want to do is, I believe this is when we add another Erode Smooth onto this. This was really, really yes, Erode Smooth. Right, to add Erode Smooth. Whoops, Erode Smooth. There we go. And this one we're going to set it to, I believe this one is wait a minute. I want to make sure one. No, this isn't when we do the Erode Smooth. We'll take it back. We need to color it first. We need to first color this. So we're going to put a merge in here, and we're going to merge above it we're going to put in a constant. We're going to, for our constant, we're going to put in, we're going to feed the constant in there, and we need to make sure the constant is the same size, our 4K constant. It's just easier to use one. That way I only have to change the value of the first one to get this one to automatically set. So by having this set to default, it will automatically pull whatever its source is. So this is automatically UHD. Now we want to set the color here, and I believe I just set this to that, and then I said for that, let me get the exact colors. The colors were a hue of 41. I said 41. Then I did 41,192, and I think it was it was 255. There we go. That's what we used. And instead of having this as over, we're going to use this as multiply, which will color our font. Okay. And now what we need to do is actually the problem we run into at this point, I think, is, oh yes, this is where I believe we do our Erode Smooth. I just want to make sure I'm doing the Erode Smooth at the right location. I was wrong. We did do the Erode Smooth before this. The Erode Smooth goes before it. I was like, no, we did the Erode Smooth before because we want it nice and smooth. All right, the Erode Smooth. Oh no, I'm moving fast here with lots of little bitty things. This was a -5, -5, and according to this, the exponent is 1. That's what it says, at least. Did you see, by the way, how that... I'm making sure of this. Clamp. Maximum. Hold on. Bum, 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 bum. What is that? Erode Smooth. Clamp, minimum, maximum. Right, Erode Smooth, nano. This is not working correctly. Oh, we're not applying it to the alpha. That's why. I almost missed that. All right. Make sure, if you're doing it to something that involves alpha, make sure you check the alpha. Otherwise, you get wonky results, which is why that wasn't working. Now we get that, and all right. So, and that was because I failed to document this. I write these fast. Next, I wanted to... Where was I? I lost my place. All right. Multiply the color on alpha original. All right. Well, I added a disk cache node in here. All right. I gotta just explain to you. This is incredibly computationally long. This takes a lot to do this every frame. So what really can help here, and this is going to be a very long thing. I might break it up into a second live stream just after this. As soon as this is over, I'm going to stop this after we merge this over the stars, and we'll pick this up in the next video right after this. Just letting you stay tuned. We're going to do a part 2 to this. All right. All right. So first, we're going to do the add a disk cache. Oops. No, I didn't want to disable that. I wanted to tab, hit disk cache. That's not how you spell disk. Disk. Why is that? Disk. There we go. Disk cache. All right, and you'll notice that disk cache doesn't connect itself into a graph. I think we've talked about that before. We're going to set it to manual, and we want to get one frame of this. All right, and we're going to pre-cache that. It may get flaky here. I'm actually going to stop that for a second, and the reason is I think it needs to be actually connected to our view for it to pre-cache properly. So we're going to pre-cache it. You know what? I'm not going to worry about the pre-cache. It's taking longer now. When I wasn't doing the live stream, it went much quicker. All right. Well, the pre-cache of frame 1 will get us one frame of cache. Then what we're going to use is a frame hold. We're going to use a frame hold. Oops, no, not a frame range. Missed it. Tab frame hold. We're going to pipe the frame hold, the source of the disk cache into the frame hold. Set the frame hold over here. Set it so that the first frame is frame 1 with an increment of 0. What that says is I'm going to look at the first frame as frame 1, and then from there I'm going to increment at this interval, which is 0. I'm not going to ever do it again. So what we've done is on frame 1 we've created an image, and from that point on we're just going to use that image from the disk cache, and everything before this will never have to be recalculated again. We have it all done. Which means that now all we have to do is transform the result with our with a with the card 3D. I did not hit the right thing. I did not hit the right thing at all. I added a tab card 3D. We go here, and you'll notice as soon as we added the card 3D shrank to the project size. That's one of the reasons that we use it, is because the card 3D is following what our project is, and our project is dictated way back up here by that whole group up there. Oh yes, we do have a small problem. We missed a step in here. Want to see something weird? See our compose. If we hit A, come on, give me my alpha. Boy, it's just taking it further. Forget this. All right, I'm going to explain right here what's going on. The alpha for this is going to be a is going to just be the outline of this. All right, it's not going to be the entire. It's not going to have the black. And when the comp wars zooms in, like in Star Wars, we want to have it a black fill. So we need to fill or put our uncomped image in with the alpha of this. So how we're going to do this is between here, the disk cache node, and this merge node right here, we're going to add another merge node. And we're going to set it so that this goes back, the A channel goes back to this point back here, okay, which is our white text. And after we've, merged everything, all right? And what we're going to do, this is the two words merged, combined together. That gives us our black. This is where we actually turn it into our outline. So this is pre-outline, all right? That's going in here. So how do we use that? Let me make sure of something here. I want to... how do we use this as... right now it's looking at the alpha, but if we go back... we can see it's white with yellow outline, which is not what we want. We want it to be black, a black center with the yellow outline. Okay. By merging it, what it did is it's done the two together, and we have a problem actually. The white is being overlaid. We could switch this around, but that's not what we want to do. We actually want to take this, and we're going to say we're going to take the maximum value of these. And then we're going to change this so that for the A, which is, it looks like it's A2, but it's actually the A input, which is our alpha. We're going to just tell it that we want the alpha in, okay? And we're going to use the maximum value for the alpha there. And that should, if everything worked right, if we go back to turn off our alpha, why is that looking... wrong to me? Alpha off. There we go. RGB. Oh, because I did the wrong one. Haha. I apologize. We wanted to do it on the A. There we go. All right. By turning it off on the A, what we wind up is with black text. The black text is black in the center because if we go to the A, we can see that the alpha channel has the... And that is not working the way it's supposed to be working. Something's wrong. This should have been... Oh, it should be giving us a different result. This should be including this soft outline, and it does not, to me, look like it is at the moment, which is not right. Which means we need to go back up here, and just check our alpha and make sure we're getting an alpha. We are not getting an alpha. Why are we not getting an alpha out of this? We should be getting an alpha. Let's try. That's weird. All right, we can force an alpha by taking our mask and putting it in here. And that should give us that. As a result, it's not perfect, but all right, there's our alpha. Now, if we merge it with this, it's still wrong. Oh, Natron, some days you make my life miserable. All right, we're gonna try and let me demask that. I'm gonna take this back and no, I want that way. Let me just... All right. We're applying that to the smooth. All right. The alpha is there. It is doing something weird. We're just going to have to ignore it for the time being because I can't tell you why Natron has decided to do this at this point, and we've gone way too long already. All right. We're going to, for the moment, merge this over. So we're going to take our stars, which is here. Let's fit this. Get off our alpha. We're going to merge this. Let's just see how this works with our card 3D, which is over here. Put that in over it, and we should wind up with our sRGB, which we are not winding up with what we want. Sometimes, I swear, I have this loaded up over here. I will double check, make sure we'll have this all set. Alright, we have that. We did a multiply. We did, was it this? Yeah, that's correct. Alright, that's correct. This one. All right. Sorry, I just want to make sure I've got this set correctly. This is multiply. Alpha masking. I've got that going in. It's 1. A channel is there. Oh, and it worked. All right, I'm going to double check over here just to see what's going on, why this is looking different. A. We're getting something soft there. Here. We're not getting something soft. Why are we not getting something soft? We should be getting the alpha from B, but we're not getting an alpha. Why is that alpha not passing through? That mask is not set to anything. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know why. This should be there. All right. This should be here. Fit. Why are we not getting the alpha? I apologize again. This is just, Natron has a thing in for me, and I apologize. I will figure this out before I start my next live stream, which will start as soon as I figure this out, and I will figure this out, and I'll let you know. But until then, you guys have a great day. Keep on Natroning.